Have you ever heard a story, a myth, so ancient and powerful that it actually turned out to be true? Well, today we're diving into a story just like that. It's a place where ancient poetry and modern satellite imagery collide, revealing the incredible tale of a lost river and the goddess who shares its name. So, this question was everything to Arjun, a young poet living in the ancient kingdom of Mithila. See, he had this incredible gift for words, but his mind was just completely clouded by doubt. He had this dream of writing an epic poem that could truly capture the essence of wisdom, but he was stuck. So let's start right there with Arjun's dilemma. He wants to create this masterpiece, right? But the sheer weight of his own ambition is just crushing him. He feels like his words are totally inadequate, that they can't possibly express the big, profound truths he wants to share. One evening, feeling completely defeated, he finds himself just wandering by the banks of a sacred river. Now, this wasn't just any river. It was believed to be the physical form of Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge herself. Totally exhausted, he just collapses under a tree and drifts off into a very restless sleep. And it's right here, in this dream, that everything is about to change for him. The world around him just dissolves into this pure, brilliant light, and a radiant figure begins to appear. He's about to come face to face with the divine. In his dream, the goddess Saraswati appears, and her form is just overflowing with meaning. Her white clothing, well, that symbolizes purity. Her 4 arms each hold a key to wisdom. You've got the sacred Vedas, which represent pure knowledge. She's strumming her veena, which is all about creation and the arts. The crystal mala connects to the rhythm of the cosmos itself, and one hand is simply extended in a blessing. But you really got to pay attention to the white swan on her crown. It represents Vivek. That's the crucial power to tell truth from illusion, which is exactly what Arjun needs. Arjun, totally desperate, he begs the goddess for help, for the ability to finally write his epic. And her response is so much more profound than he could have ever imagined. She doesn't just give him a simple answer. No, she bestows upon him 6 distinct gifts, 6 boons that are going to fundamentally transform him as a creator. And this just lays out his transformation perfectly. First, a gift of profound intellect to clear away all that doubt. Then, the power of eloquent speech, so his words can finally flow like a river. From her veena, she grants him artistic inspiration. By touching her mystical river, he gains enhanced concentration. The river's flow purifies his soul, washing away his fear and ego. And finally, she gives him a vision of cosmic order, showing him his true place in the universe. He awakens, a completely changed man. So, Arjun goes on to write his masterpiece, an epic that inspires generations. But here's where our story takes a really fascinating turn. Was this sacred river, the source of all that wisdom, just a legend, a piece of a story? Or was it something more? To answer that question, we need to fast forward, thousands of years. We're shifting from ancient myth to 21st century science, because the story of the Saraswati River was about to be rewritten by a totally different kind of discovery. You're not going to believe this. In 2016, scientists and archaeologists working out in the dry desert of Rajasthan found it. They used satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and they unearthed undeniable proof of ancient river channels buried deep, deep beneath the sand. This timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You see the river flowing way back around 4000 BCE, this huge waterway stretching from the Himalayas. And then, for thousands of years, it's just lost. But in 2016, it's rediscovered, and that sparks immediate interest. A year later, a whole heritage project is launched to trace its path. And by 2019, its incredible story is captured in a documentary. And this is the part that's just mind-blowing, how perfectly the science lined up with the ancient texts. The Rig Veda, one of humanity's oldest scriptures, wasn't just being poetic when it called the Saraswati the best of rivers. Geological findings confirmed it was a vast system. The text described it as a nourisher of life, and modern science found evidence that its channels once supported ancient civilizations. All of a sudden, the myth had a map. This discovery wasn't just some footnote in a textbook. It ignited this incredible wave of national enthusiasm and a real desire to reconnect with this lost piece of history. The river, once just a memory, was starting to flow again, this time in the cultural consciousness. The impact was immediate. A Saraswati heritage circuit was created for both tourism and research. The scientific validation became a source of immense national pride.
It inspired conservation efforts and cultural projects, including that documentary that brought this amazing story to a global audience.
So what do we take away from all this? I mean, on one hand, you have a poet's dream, and on the other, you have hard satellite data. You have a goddess in a myth and a real physical riverbed buried under the sand. How do you possibly reconcile those two things?
Well, maybe the answer is that Saraswati is both. She's the enduring symbol for the flow of knowledge itself. And that flow can manifest as a divine blessing in a poet's dream, or as a river nourishing a civilization, or even as data transmitted from a satellite. It's all part of the same eternal stream. And that brings us right back to Arjun's final realization. The wisdom he was so desperately searching for wasn't just in a mythical goddess or some long-lost river. It was, and it still is, available to anyone with a seeking heart, a curious mind, and the courage to ask, what if the myths are real?